Anti-Afro Svengalis. I have to make the announcement. Holiday hooliganism in full swing for 2025. Breaking the culture of silence got a hold of me a week ago, telling me that these idiots, these freaks, start tagging her or mentioning her in videos again. It never fails. October to December, or through December, I should say, is when these holiday hooligans get into full swing. I'm going to talk more about that in a second, but before I do that, I want to address the irony of the circumstance that occurs when subjects are relegated to scrubbing out the shitty toilets, the nasty toilets in Buckingham Palace. However, they are directed, they are commanded, they are prohibited from urinating or defecating in those toilets. They have to be taken to outhouses that don't even flush if they have to use the restroom. They would be arrested if they sat their funky asses on a toilet or stood over a toilet to do their business. But they want to try and tag and harass and boss and command and enslave ADOS, jumping in our business. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about and lying like there's no tomorrow. This one fool. This is 3 years ago. I clipped, I think it was 45 seconds of a live stream that this subject was speaking on a panel. I didn't even think or care to edit what brief comments the subject made. The subject then goes around lying that I stole that subject's content. The subject doesn't do live streams as far as I know, but for damn sure, this wasn't the subject's live stream. Anything that can be said or done to try to convert a situation into something that it isn't. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about before I get to the holiday hooligans and their harassing behavior and their proclivities, the situation on Photon's live stream. Let me tell you, folks, if anything qualifies as the smelliest bullshit that you will never forget in your life, it may render you unable to eat for God knows how long, is the lie that these subjects care about Photon. Or we were here first. How can you tell us anything? We've been around since the beginning. What difference does that make how long anyone has been around? Someone who's known you for how long says they want you dead. Does it matter that they've known you for a long time and they're still wanting you dead? Because those subjects that are screaming and hollering about they were there first with Photon are the same subjects sitting over on Carrie Ann's page when she talked about the man should be killed, laughing that Nikki Proctor Walden was going to kill him. Not only that, she wanted the same for his offspring. Wanted this man up out of here dead. And they're sitting over there. No, they're not responsible for what comes out of stank booty bigot's mouth. King Kong crazy crud try to put that on me and Rev G. No, no. Full blown fighting, mutual threats on YouTube between King Kong crud and Remix, Tree Mix, Flea Mix, Door Mix. What does it have to do with us? I'm the one that told him this is not a good idea. I don't have to say that. Rev G always would make it clear that he doesn't support violence. But we're not obligated to say it. He was up here crying. They were in the chat talking about Smoke's copyright strike. He's up there arguing and fighting and co-threatening Remix and said he was going to go to Remix's house. This is not the same thing. With Stank Booty Bigot and the liars that are claiming they support Photon, they were fully engaged in the conversation. I'm off to another conversation with Rev G about Smoke getting the copyright strike from King Kong Crazy, and he's mad about that too. You can't compare the two situations. No comparison. Full blown engagement with everything Stank Booty Bigot was doing. And it was not mutual. They were not threatening each other. It was Carrie Ann making death threats to Photon, including one of his offspring. That's very specific and explicit. I want to reemphasize, nobody is responsible for telling someone else what to do. But when these subjects jump up and try to say that we endorsed Remix getting into his dust ups with King Kong Crazy where they were threatening each other, that has nothing to do with us. Nothing whatsoever. But they want to try to imply a standard that they don't even adhere to while they were actually engaging in the conversation. We never were. You know what's further bizarre? I'm going to play this on another video. King Kong Crazy was the one that was applauding us getting subjected to all types of physical and sexual violence. He was doing that before he started to cry and say he was being threatened by Remix. Very interesting. There's no disclaimer about it. There's nothing to say, you know what, you probably shouldn't say anything like that. There's nothing to mitigate the comments. They sat over there and went along with everything she did. They don't tell her what to say. Nobody can tell somebody what to say, but they sure as hell didn't give a damn when she said it. How does that fare for subjects who are trying to convince a host that they're down with the host? Not only that, they'll go to other channels and join in when shit is talking about Photon. At least I have something to say about Photon. I tell Photon. I know what the issue is. What issue do they have with Photon? None of my damn business, but we would know about it, would we not? To talk about every damn thing else. They're just pissed because they can't get yet another person to follow their orders and attack someone they don't have issues with presently. And if they did have an issue, whose business is it of theirs? They think they want to dictate how an issue is going to turn out. They're being the hypocrites. They're only in Photon's chat because Carrie Ann's not around to talk shit about him. They didn't even call her out for threatening his offspring. They said nothing. Nothing at all. But now we're down with Photon since the beginning and don't give a shit about the channel either. Nobody says that anybody has to give anyone channel support. That's up to everyone's personal decision. But they're not over on that white man's channel telling them white folks don't give money to Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast wouldn't be where he is unless folks on YouTube contributed to his channel, white folks. To me, this is nothing but a bunch of coveting, envious, jealous, resentful, backstabbing ingrates. That is all we are dealing with. And they get so angry when they're unable to command an ADOS black person to follow their damn orders. That is their problem. If somebody doesn't want to obey them, go find Carrie Ann hanging out with them white folks. She's probably going to be gone for quite some time because she'll put up a whole hell of a lot more from white folks than she ever will from black folks. She ain't threatening to kill them over there. They are the ones who loved what Carrie Ann Stank Booty Bigot did. And now that she's not around, they want to pretend that they have all this love for Photon and keep reminding him, this is what she said about you. So what? So? I said it. Did I run and hide? Did I go talk behind somebody's back? No. Oh, and Photon, by the way, Lady Dimples brought you up. I didn't bring you up. Okay, to clarify that, and I don't have Cash App. I would never have a Cash App. I'm just clarifying the points. And if whoever else wants to get involved and make a comment, make a comment. I'm not answering to these other subjects. When and where and how do I answer to subjects I don't even have any sort of relationship with, but they insist on trying to boss me around. They insist in trying to have conversations which I don't want to have. They are stalkers and harassers. They're resentful because they can't get ADOS to follow their commands. Like we are on some slaves on a freaking slave plantation. Go back to your other country if it was easy to run folks over and enslave them. We are not slaves here. Our ancestors were slaves. We are not slaves. Still trying to think they can tell us what to do and where to listen. Although you don't even freaking have anything with these subjects. Nothing that they will be able to say is going to make any difference. None whatsoever. Always trying to attack ADOS and angry because they can't get anything out of us or get out of us what they want to get. It's never going to happen. Let me move on to holiday hooligans in full swing. As I said, breaking the culture had got a hold of me. Gerald let me know that the Stolen Valor freak abandoned that other page and now was starting to resume talking about Rev G, Gerald, now that that other page isn't being used. And it's around the holidays. Cannot handle the fact that whatever happened needed to happen, it did happen. If you don't want your shit going offline and being brought to those who have no idea what you're doing, you might consider shutting the hell up and stop stalking people. Well, that's not what he did. He kept harassing and stalking Rev G for 2 years. I think it's really bizarre that this subject has this insatiable focus on other males, constantly stalking other males, trying to get going now with the smoke, try to get going with Kip, wants to constantly make comments. Yes, it's a free country. Anyone can make comments. But here's the problem. These subjects have conniption fits and grand mal seizures if and when you decide to give them a response. They're nothing but soul-sucking, blood-sucking leeches. They have no other power supply. They can't within themselves bring something up to make anything out of it. They always have to take from others. They take from others, regenerate something that's bullshit, and then run with it. Then they expect you to sit here and defend every single allegation and lie that they say about you. I refuse to do that. I'm not going to sit here and correct and cover shit up for these fools, because it is a cover up, because this is what they want to have happen. They want you to forget about the past. Their lives are so out of control. Offline, it's obvious. I'll put money on it. If you have to sit here and come to the YouTube streets and lie about being in a fire, you have no other outreach. There's no other option. There's nothing else out there for you. You've got to make up a lie about being in a freaking fire. What is the reason you wouldn't go to the Red Cross? Local disaster relief. And they just rallied around this dude and gave money. And when Rev G, and I don't even like making comparisons because it's futile. You're dealing with amoral subjects. I'm only saying this as a reminder. When Rev G was harassed, relentlessly harassed and slandered, and wanted to file a lawsuit, he got a small amount of donations, relatively small, and then his wife's business was attacked. That's part of the whole gig. And they said what he did was fraudulent when he used that money to get off those negative reviews. If they were so offended, why not file a lawsuit? File a lawsuit and get your money back. And then he tried to get the money back. They didn't want it. I wouldn't give shit back. But this is what I'm talking about. They set up these traps, trying so hard to trap people because their lives are so horrendously out of control that they think the only way they have any possibility of gaining any semblance of control is to come onto YouTube and act like they have rule authority over everyone else regarding everyone else's issues. They will continue to issue orders and issue demands. They will start cursing. They'll start screaming. They'll get louder and louder. That's their normal behavior. It's not situational, just do it. That's their regular way of trying to get control of any and everybody. They'll do it at the snap of a hat, and they will follow others around for the purposes of engaging in that behavior. Sure, I can curse. It's a free country. And the other word, vulgar, sure can be vulgar. If I want to curse and I want to be vulgar, I'll do it. So what? But you're not going to make me feel any kind of way about me using vulgarity or cursing. They're not regulating anything regarding me, in particular with their threats of rape and murder, which includes children, threatening people with bats, calling women deep throats. All black men are criminals and thugs. You got to refer to black folks as that black ass. Oh, yes. Ashamed of every word that comes out of their mouth to the point they want to act like a certain period in their life didn't even happen. Then they're too embarrassed and ashamed that they said it, like the Al Show. Put on a suit, go to another black sector and talk about black people perping as respectable. Oh my God, are you freaking serious? Don't take Stargate's forgiveness as any sort of protection or security. Yeah, you know, Stargate, the same woman you called a racist how many times, and you denied that as well. What exactly is going on with this dynamic? When subjects engage in atrocious behavior, atrocities, and then they want you to feel guilty and ashamed about your conduct that pales in comparison. I'm going to post another video talking about how you can manage for yourself these blood-sucking, soul-sucking leeches who exacerbate their evil during the holiday season because they can't envision themselves actually enjoying anything. If they're not enjoying anything, they don't want anyone else to enjoy it. It's the same thing if someone is relatively content, they're going to be excited about the possibility that you're going to be content. And they're going to bring you information and opportunities. Not if you're evil and wicked, not if you're a troublemaker, not if you're an ingrate, not if you're a savage, not if you're subhuman, and not if you're an underbelly. You're not going to want any of that. You're going to want the worst of the worst for everyone else, and you're going to pursue all avenues to try to achieve it. But more times than not, it blows up in the face of those whose goal is to orchestrate any circumstance where they can bring about suffering and harm. They want you to be in agony. They don't want to be in agony by themselves. Damn it, I need to find somebody to put them in the same boat as me. We're all on this rickety boat, this misery boat that's sinking. I want more people in this boat to go down with me. And I see Rev G over there. I see Breaking the Culture over there. I see Stargate. I see Keeping It Plain. And my God, why smoke traveling all over the place in the fresh air with a wife? Damn it, I want them to suffer. I want to figure out ways to make others unhappy because I'm so freaking miserable that I can't stand the fact that I can't bring them along with me successfully. They've tried and they have failed. They will continue trying in their mind. Okay, what else can I do to make this happen? And as you're seeing, more and more people don't want anything to do with that shit because it's blowing up in their faces, because they've seen how it's blown up in the faces of how many people? You got Dumpsy D. Durrell under a 9-count indictment. He deserves every bit of what is coming his way, as do all others who engage in that bullshit with him. Again, I won't talk too much about Dumpsy D. Durrell here. I'm going to be doing more videos on him every single day. So stay tuned for my video about how to tackle these holiday hooligans, how to prevent yourself from getting caught up in their madness, their desperation to pull others in on their misery, their rickety, sinking boat of misery. In the meantime, never forget to heed the warning, buyer beware.